Picture this. You return home to find your family's 100-year-old farm under attack bulldozers, tearing it apart. An HOA stealing it through fraud, while your dying mother fought to protect it. But here's the twist. You control the region's entire power grid. Watch one man turn the tables on corruption, unearth hidden secrets, and battle for his mother's legacy in a showdown that'll leave you speechless. This is a tale of greed, grit, and triumph you won't want to miss. Asterisk, the story centers on the Northeast Power Supervisor, who returns to Pine Grove Valley after his mother's death to settle her estate too. 100-acre farm his family has owned since 1897. Arriving at the farmhouse, he's still reeling from grief. When Karen Thompson, president of the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association, HOA, confronts him, she insists the farm belongs to their development, citing annexation papers allegedly signed by his mother. Doubting this, especially since his mother was battling cancer, he investigates. In her journal, he finds accounts of the HOA's harassment phony, complaints, forged signatures, and a scheme to transform the farm into Harvest Estates, a luxury housing project. Digging deeper, he uncovers 1952 documents granting his family perpetual control over utility modifications on the land. A crucial advantage since any development requires his approval for power infrastructure. The HOA ramps up their aggression, bulldozing fields, cutting his electricity, and pressuring his employer to suspend him. Unfazed, he partners with attorney Sarah Winters to fight back. They compile evidence: the journal, medical records, disproving his mother's signatures, and covert recordings of HOA members plotting fraud. In court, their case prevails. The judge halts the development, restores his job, and initiates a fraud probe. The farm is saved, secured by conservation easements, and the HOA collapses. The protagonist then establishes the Pine Grove Valley Community Association, fostering unity. Example: a pivotal moment comes when he reads a journal entry. From his mother, written during chemotherapy, Karen came today with papers. I couldn't even lift my head, but she said I'd sign them. They're lying, and I'm too weak to stop them. This revelation ignites his determination, channeling his sorrow into a quest for justice. The story wraps up with the farm flourishing. Once more, as former HOA supporters now collaborate to protect it, reflecting on his mother's legacy, he feels a sense of triumph and peace. This lesson, this summary illustrates that perseverance and truth can defeat corruption, even against formidable opponents. It also highlights how honoring a family legacy can fuel resilience and rally a community around a common purpose. Asterisk, imagine stepping onto the porch of your childhood home, a vast farm your family has tended for over 120 years. The scent of soil and nostalgia fills the air, memories of your mother's laughter and bailing summers. But as you hold her house keys, still warm in your hand, bulldozers roar across the fields. A greedy homeowners association claims your land, wielding forged papers supposedly signed while your mother was dying of cancer. They expect you to crumble, a broken son with no strength left. They don't know you're the Northeast Power Supervisor, master of the region's power grid, and you've just found their Achilles heel. In the storm cellar, behind a loose plank, you discover a rusty box containing 1952 documents. They grant your family authority over the utility easement's power. Lines that crisscross your farm and supply the development trying to swallow it. Without your approval, their luxury homes stay dark, with your mother's journal brimming. With stories of harassment and deceit, you're armed for war. Each HOA strikes hard. They cut your power, trash your barn, and tarnish your name on the news. But you counter with evidence recordings, medical records, and those vital documents, culminating in a tense courtroom showdown where their lies unravel. Example: picture the Hook's Peak. You're in court raising a recorder. Silence falls. As Karen Thompson's voice spills out, she's dying anyway, forge the signature, and her kid won't care. The judge's gavel crashes down, and the audience is hooked, craving the HOA's downfall. This hook paints a gripping scene, a solitary figure facing a ruthless giant, armed with a hidden edge and a thirst for justice. It promises a saga of grit, betrayal, and victory that viewers can't ignore. Lesson: a powerful hook demonstrates storytelling's strength, blending emotion, high stakes, and a twist to seize attention and inspire. It shows that even in despair, a glimmer of hope can spark a battle worth witnessing. The tale begins with the protagonist arriving in Pine Grove Valley, his mother's recent death weighing heavily. The farmhouse's chipped blue railing evokes memories of her lessons on planting corn and standing firm. That tranquility shatters when Karen Thompson and the HOA appear, claiming the 2,100-acre farm with papers his dying mother couldn't have signed. Fueled by love and doubt, he searches her things, finding a journal detailing the HOA's harassment, fake noise complaints, threats, and forged deeds. In the storm cellar, he discovers 1952 documents giving his family power grid control, secret weapon in his fight. The HOA intensifies their assault. Bulldozers tear up fields, power goes out, and his job teeters. Alongside Sarah Winters, his astute attorney, he assembles a case with recordings of HOA schemes and proof of his mother's incapacity. The courtroom crackles with tension as he presents the evidence, winning a ruling that stops the development and disbands the HOA. The farm is preserved with easements, and he forms a new community association, turning adversaries into partners. Example: a striking scene unfolds as he reads the 1952 papers by lantern light, his power severed by the HOA. His mother's words echo, "This land is ours, always will be." Clutching the documents, he swears they won't win, Mom. This resolve propels the story, marking his shift from mourner to champion. The narrative closes with the farm thriving, neighbors chatting over coffee in the barn. On the porch, he senses his mother's pride, having reclaimed their home and legacy. Lesson: this story underscores the power of heritage and the bravery needed to defend it. It teaches that fighting for justice, grounded in love and community, can conquer even the steepest challenges. Asterisk, the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association, HOA, doesn't just threaten the protagonist's family farm, they declare war on it. Tactics escalate with chilling precision. Bulldozers rip through fertile soil, flattening crops and ancient oaks, while utility crews sever the power lines, plunging the protagonist's home into darkness. The HOA even leans on his employer, Northeast Power Authority, fabricating complaints that lead to his suspension. Each move is a calculated strike against his mother's legacy, a 2,100-acre farm that has stood since 1897, overwhelmed but unbroken. The protagonist refuses to bow. He partners with Sarah Winters, a fierce attorney with a knack for unraveling corruption, and together they dig for evidence to fight back. They scour his mother's journal, medical records, and anything that might expose the HOA's lies, determined to turn the tide. Example: one stormy evening, the protagonist retreats to the farm's old storm cellar, seeking solace among dusty relics. As lightning flickers, he notices a loose plank in the wall. Prying it open, he uncovers a rusted tin box hidden for decades. Inside are brittle documents from 1952, signed by his grandfather, declaring the Johnson family's perpetual authority over utility easements on their land. A faded red circle highlights the key clause: no modification shall proceed without Johnson consent. His heart races. This is the smoking gun. The HOA's entire luxury development hinges on power lines they can't legally touch without his approval. Lifeline, proof they've overplayed their hand. With this discovery, the protagonist and Sarah build a case that's airtight. The 1952 papers, paired with forged signatures and secret recordings of HOA schemes, become their weapons. The HOA's aggression only sharpens his resolve, transforming despair into a fierce will to protect what's his. Lesson: this escalation reveals that perseverance and resourcefulness can shine through even the darkest moments. The protagonist's refusal to give up, paired with his clever unearthing of hidden evidence, teaches us that standing firm and thinking creatively can thwart even the most relentless foes. Asterisk. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as the protagonist squares off against the HOA's polished legal team. It's the culmination of months of struggle his family's farm. His mother's memory and his own future all hang in the balance. Karen Thompson, the HOA's smug president, smirks from the defendant's table, certain her forged documents will hold. But the protagonist and Sarah Winters have spent sleepless nights preparing. They unveil the 1952 utility agreements, proving the farm's untouchable status, and present medical records that debunk the HOA's claim that his dying mother signed away her rights. Then, Sarah plays a damning recording of Karen plotting. She's too sick to fight, just sign it for her. The room erupts in murmurs as the judge's gaze hardens. Example, the trial's climax comes when the protagonist steps forward with his mother's journal. His voice steady but thick with emotion, he reads an entry dated the same day as the forged papers. Karen came today. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, but she said I'd agreed. They're stealing it all. He sets the journal down, then slides it beside the falsified annexation forms. The dates align perfectly with hospital logs showing her incapacitation. The evidence lands like a thunderclap irrefutable proof of the HOA's fraud. Grins. Smirk vanishes as the gallery whispers, and the protagonist feels his mother's strength beside him. The judge delivers a swift ruling. The development is halted. HOA's actions are deemed fraudulent, and an investigation is ordered. The protagonist's job is restored with back pay, and he walks out of the courthouse lighter, knowing justice has prevailed. Lesson: this turning point proves the unmatched power of truth and justice. The protagonist's courage to expose lies, backed by undeniable evidence, shows that integrity can topple corruption. It's a reminder that fighting for what's right, no matter the odds, can rewrite the ending. Asterisk victory in court marks a new beginning for the protagonist and his farm. He pours his energy into repairing the damaged replanting fields, fixing fences, and securing conservation easements to shield the land forever. The Meadowbrook HOA collapses under the weight of its own deceit, its leaders facing charges while the community begins to heal. The protagonist spearheads the Pine Grove Valley Community Association, a cooperative that welcomes even former HOA members, fostering unity where division once reigned. The farm stands tall again, a symbol of resilience and a tribute to his mother's unyielding spirit. Example: one fall afternoon, the protagonist opens his barn for a community harvest party. Laughter fills the air as kids chase each other through the hay, and neighbors share stories over cider. Elaine Foster, a longtime resident who once clashed with his mother over petty disputes, pulls him aside. She always said this place was our anchor, Elaine says, her voice soft. You've made it that again. Later, as he watches the crowd, some once enemies, now friends, he feels his mother's legacy in every handshake, every smile. The land isn't just soil, it's a bond that endures. The farm's rebirth is sealed with a new sign: Johnson Family Farm. Est, 1897. Standing before it, the protagonist reflects on the fight grief, rage, and redemption woven into every acre. His mother's lessons of grit and grace have carried him through, and now they'll guide the community forward. Lesson: this resolution celebrates the lasting power of family heritage and community ties. The protagonist's journey teaches that honoring our roots and building bridges can create something stronger than what was broken. Legacy isn't just what we inherit, it's what we choose to leave behind.